for the tech problems, if you can hear me.
You're good.
You can hear me? Okay, perfect. All right, so tonight's talk is breaking burnout for both you and your children. So my hope is that we get 1, 2, maybe even 3 takeaways from tonight's talk. And we learn some simple yet powerful things that will help us move through the day, move through our life, and so forth. So I'm going to ask everybody out there in computer land or internet land. The internet says, the people say. Do you feel tired? Do you feel stressed out? Do you feel like you're running on empty? Are you burned out emotionally, physically? Or do you just feel done? These are all indications of burnout. So for adults, what are some of the indications? What do you feel? This can be things like brain fog. Now, if you've been to any of my other talks, you know what brain fog can be caused from, and we'll go into some of that as well. Do you feel like you have low motivation, irritability, sleep issues, or emotionally lower reactivity to things than you should be? These are all indications of burnout. Now, for kids, it's a little different though. For kids, it's going to be things like, how often are we having meltdowns? Are we having trouble focusing at school? This is one that a lot of parents may miss, but they need to understand. Are they getting chronic tummy aches or headaches as a child is actually an indication of burnout. And if we look at that, that's going to be related to the blood flow changes. So when you're stressed, you're going to change where blood goes. When we're in a relaxed state, blood goes to our frontal lobe, goes to our digestive tract, and will be going to our hands and feet. When we are stressed out, blood is taken away from our digestive tract, it is taken away from our frontal lobe, and is taken away from our hands and feet. So the easiest way to tell if little Johnny or Jane is stressed out is touch their hand. If their hand is sweaty and cold, they are stressed out. Now, I'll give you an example of this. So our daughter and my wife and I were all watching a movie, and it had a scary scene in it. And literally, we held my daughter's hand, and it was sweaty and cold. So she was in that movie to the point where she was actually stressing her body, and we could tell that because her hands were sweaty and cold. And we go, yep, can't watch this movie anymore. Because it was literally inducing the fight or flight response into her. This is an easy way for you to tell how stressed out your friends, your family, yourself is or are. And so what is the play toy, or what is the interactive thing that we have on my card? If you flip it around, there's that little black temperature. I guess you could say thermometer, but it's just a temperature reader. Normal temperature is 94 degrees for your hands. It only goes up to 92. So people say, look, I'm so calm. I'm like, yeah, it only goes up to 92. It doesn't actually tell me. If you're black, it's really bad because it's in the 70s. So it tells me you're stressed out. So if we are a young child and we're getting headaches and we're getting stomach aches, we know you have a stress problem. No questions. And it's not based on how they feel. It's based on what their body is showing us. And there's different drivers that will run that issue. And we can get into that, but I want you to understand those are major markers. For adults, you're going to see different aspects as well. You're going to see things when you're stressed, you're going to go towards more self-medicating behaviors. What are those behaviors for adults? Well, it could be food, but the ones that we actually reward in our culture that we shouldn't, it's actually overworking, overproduction, going to the gym 5 hours a day, playing a sport more so you succeed. And these are the people that we see that are really, really, really productive, and then they fall apart. So if it's a kid, we'll see them do really, really well, and then they'll fall apart when they have to take the SAT or they have to take a test. And that's because their stress management technique is actually making them more stressed out. Or it could be food related, or it could be exercise, or it could be a number of things. but we want to understand that we need to have healthy management techniques to help us be able to process through. One of them, I'm going to push what I do, is actually getting adjusted because it resets the brain, and getting laser because it can reset energy systems and meridians, and doing neurofeedback, biofeedback. That's one way to do it. I am going to teach you other ones. I am going to show you other ways to do this that if we do it naturally will help out. Now, what is some trouble things that can drive us towards burnout? And the first one is actually interesting because it's what drives our society, and that's screen time. So the more time you're exposed to the screen, the harder it is on you. Your brain is not made to look at a little box and have it flickering at whatever frequency it is. It literally burns you out because focusing on that screen is really, really hard on you. Another thing that will lead to burnout is overscheduling. This can be for adults, but we actually see it quite often in children. We want to keep them busy. We want them to experience everything. But for your child's brain to heal and learn, it needs time to do nothing. It needs time to chase the butterfly. It needs time to be outside in nature. The more we're exposed to the big world around us, the more we see that our problems aren't as big as we make them. So this is why everybody, when we get out into the mountains, the problems become smaller because we realize how small the things actually are in comparison to everything around us. Another thing that you may not know is that when we do go out into nature, we actually stimulate the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve gets stimulated. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but on purpose, I make sure that the videos that play in this office are of things that will make you be in awe or be very drawn in. And that's because it's vagal stimulating. It stimulates that right side of the brain, helps with that serotonin and connection. There's choice on why we're doing the things we're doing, because we want you to be in a place where you are upregulating that vagal tone so you can be relaxed. And then the last thing that is going to lead to trouble and can lead to burnout is lack of movement and lack of proper nutrition. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I will give you understanding on those things. So if we look at movement, are we as an adult just literally walking? Do we get our 10,000 steps in? That's correlated to brain function. So how does that work? We walk. The ankles will stimulate the cerebellum, which actually turns on the frontal lobe, which is the executive center. And then what does it do? Decreases the stress response. So the stress response can be turned off from two ways. It can be turned off from the top down, which is frontal lobe turning off the brainstem, or bottom up, which is cerebellum inhibiting the brainstem for the fight flight. So the brainstem is the fight or flight response. So we want that to be turned off. So if you've noticed in the office, sometimes we have people having the laser and they're using it through the nose. That's actually directly stimulating the brainstem to make the inflammation go away. If you respond and you're an easy client, we do that and we'll see the primitive reflexes go away. If it's harder and you have more stress going on, then we may need to do cerebellar training. If you're still harder, then we may need to go to frontal lobe. We may need to do all three at the same time. So depending on how much stress you're under determines how we actually will train you. Now, let's look at easy ways for us to help both children and adults. With children, my wife let me know this, that predictability is key. Now, the funny thing is adults are the same. So with a child, rhythm is more important than schedule. A rhythm of eating every day at a certain time is really important. They know the pattern of what's going to happen. They know how everything is going to work. This also comes into your circadian rhythm in your body. If your body knows that it's going to get food at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it starts turning on those gastric juices and getting everything going at 1:30, getting ready to go. Your body gets used to ebbs and flows of taking in nutrition and so forth. Your child needs this as well, because The children are more affected by blood sugar than adults because the child doesn't have that frontal lobe. That frontal lobe is not developed yet. It doesn't fully develop until 25. And then if you have head injuries, if you have blood sugar problems, if you have chronic emotional stress, you're literally damaging that frontal lobe so that executive center turns off and we can't actually deal with stress correctly. So why does my little daughter freak out more than I do? Is because I have that frontal lobe to downregulate the stress response, where she only has movement and a little bit of frontal lobe to turn it on. So she's going to become more reactive. If she's tired, we're compounding it. Every adult knows that the kid's tired and hungry, you're screwed until you take away one of them. So you got to put them to bed and make them eat, and then they're okay. Well, you get the blood sugars under control. Sleep is really important as well. This comes in because if we're not getting our proper sleep, everything falls apart. So the biggest thing that I have to help people with is how do they manage their blood sugars and how do they measure their circadian rhythm, or are they getting enough sleep? If sugars are under control, then sleep is important. But if you're not eating correctly for your body type, then you're going to have issues. So if you are more of a substantial body type, and I would be considered a substantial body type, somebody with thicker bones, and you put on mass really easily, a general rule of thumb is fat and protein will make you gain weight. If you are and carbs, they're fine. Not straight sugar, not straight white sugar to your veins. That's not what I'm saying. But vegetables and fruit are okay for those people. On the other hand, if you're more of a burner, so you're somebody who, if you're stressed out, is going after sugar and caffeine, and you're more of that lean person that burns through stuff really quickly, carbs are not your friends. The pastas are really hard on you. The simple sugars are really hard on you, but that's what you crave the most. The caffeine. This is somebody who's more like a thyroid body type, or somebody who's lean and it's hard for them to gain muscle mass. For them, the exact opposite. They need the protein. They need the fat to actually keep their energy running even. So if you are somebody who, after you fall asleep, wakes up within usually 4 to 6 hours, and you wake up and you can't fall asleep again, and you're just, my brain's wired, what you're telling us is that you have a blood sugar issue and your body can't regulate correctly, and it's actually spiking cortisol, which is waking you up. And that isn't, well, it doesn't wake you up because you're so cortisol deficient that then you spike adrenaline, and that's what actually wakes you up. And that's why you're wired and you can't fall back to sleep. So blood sugar is usually the number one thing that we need to help people with when they come in here, because in the Western medicine fields, if it's not too high, they think everything's okay, but it's, are you in range and not starving your cells? So that's really, really important. So sleep and sugars are the two that we want to get under control. So simplistically, again, if you eat and you gain weight really easy, you're probably more of a substantial body type. If you find that when you're stressed out, you crave more fats and proteins and salts, you're going to be more, or dairy, you're going to be more substantial. If you're stressed out and you crave more caffeine or sugars, then you're going to be probably more of a burner body type. That's going to let us know what to go after. If you're that substantial person, to help with your blood sugars, you want to go towards carbs, complex carbs. Sugar by itself is going to destroy you. Sugar will affect anybody. Same with alcohol, will affect anybody. And this one, I have to say, because we live in Colorado, THC or marijuana will affect you as well. So when people get the munchies, that's because their blood sugar has spiked and dropped, and now they need to get more sugar back in. So marijuana will spike your blood sugar and will cause chronic inflammation. So just be aware that that's what's happening with that as well. So we got rhythm, we got sleep, we got movement. Now, what is movement going to be looking at? Are we moving to stimulate our brain? The easiest way to do this, if you are stuck inside or you can't do something, the easiest way to stimulate that brain is to do what is called HIIT training. So what does that look like? You do a movement at the highest level where you're up to like 80 or 90% of max for a short period of time, and then you recover. The one I love doing is biking. So You get on a bike, you warm up, get your heart rate up to about 100, 115, then ramp the machine up as high as you can, 25, let's say, and ride it as hard as you can for 10 to 15 seconds, and then stop and pull it all the way down to a 4 or 5. What this will do is it will literally get your heart rate to speed up, and it will get up to that 90 percentile. So if you're not sure where your percentile is, there's an easy mathematical equation. Take your age and take 220 and subtract your age, and that's your max heart rate. So let's say you're 40, your max heart rate then is 220 minus 4, so it'd be 180. And then you look at 90% of that, and then you know where you want to be. So if you can get say for that 40-year-old, you can get around that 150, 160 mark, then you're at your 90%, 80 to 90%, boost your heart rate up, drop back down 90 seconds off, boost it up again, 90 seconds off. And in doing this, you're actually creating neuroadaptability. You're creating your brain's ability to speed up and slow down. And the faster you slow down, it means the healthier you are and the better you can deal with stress. It will also drive blood to your frontal lobe, drive blood to your body. And exercise by itself will cause endorphin releases, will cause stress reduction. So it's not uncommon for people to go on a walking regime and then heart disease decreases. It's literally because the walking stimulates the brain, which decreases the stress response. The running does that. If you want to get into something that has been shown to increase longevity, tennis or racket sports do, because it's really stimulating your cerebellum. So like tennis, pickleball, table tennis, different things like it, badminton. If you play any of these, on average, the average tennis, I only know the tennis research, will live on average 7 to 10 years longer than somebody who's a non-tennis player. And it's all because of cerebellar stimuli. Well, the cerebellum is a little part of the brain. The other way to do that is get adjusted or move. But when you have to move in space, your brain has to take in information from your eyes and from the kinesthetic feeling, and then you have to line up the racket and move your whole body. So you have to get the whole thing to move. So doing that will help with longevity. So the active movement, yes, will help with stress management, but it helps keep your brain healthy. So if your brain is healthy, you'll live longer. So if you're like, well, I don't want to take up tennis, it's too hard, do pickleball. It's the fastest growing sport, easiest thing to do. You don't have to be really athletic to play because you don't have to run a lot, but it will help with that hand-eye coordination, and it will help you live longer. So if you're like, tennis is too hard, I don't want to keep doing split stepping or jumping, do pickleball. It's easy. It's really fun. So that's for adults. Are we doing our walking, our stretching, our tennis, our gym, different things like that? For kids, the key for them, and they hate this, but the key for them is to get them out of the TV or off the TV and have free play where they have to actually move themselves. For kids, the best thing for stress management is to have them do anything over the top of their head. So the monkey bars, throwing something, moving something on top of their head, because that's going to help with that frontal lobe, the motor cortex, and the cerebellum for proper development. So the more they are crawling, moving around, it'll actually make their brain develop correctly and help them deal with stress better. Now, what's the next one we're going to look at? And this one is very, 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 very common. So you notice how I said it a lot? That's because it's really common and it's the simplest one for us to do, especially here in Colorado. And that is dehydration. Are we drinking enough water? Are we consuming enough water to make sure that our body can work correctly? Easy ways to tell is, and you need to understand this, if you feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated. The easy way to tell is, what color is your urine? If your urine has any color, you're dehydrated unless you're eating a lot of B vitamins. But after you eat them, the first time you urinate, then you should be able to go right back to normal. So a simple rule of thumb is, in the morning, within an hour of waking up, drink 32 ounces of water. That's going to help you flush all the toxins out that your body has been using overnight when you're fasting. So that breakfast, when you break the fast, or when you're sleeping. Then your goal is to drink as much as you need after that. But the morning is literally 80% of what's going to happen. So if you drink the 32 ounces, now you're going to flush out all those toxins, not reuse them, and you're going to be okay. So you want to drink it, flush it, and you're in a good place. Urine color will let you know if you're dehydrated or not. Then there's always different ideas, so many ounces for body weight and all that stuff. But do the 32 first thing in the morning, then another 32 throughout the day. And if you're really doing stuff, maybe put in another 10 or 15 after that. But the morning is literally more weighted than the afternoon or the evening, because that's going to get all the toxins out and you're not going to have that buildup. So dehydration, really important. We went over food. This one I really like, micro recoveries. So for adults, this is 2 minutes of deep breathing, or the one that I like, body scans. So body scan, if you go, well, what is a body scan? It's literally you closing your eyes and then scanning your body and seeing where tension is. And then wherever you feel tension, so let's say it's in the bottom of my feet. So I can feel right now my right foot feels a little tighter than my left. Then what you're going to do is you're going to breathe in, 1, 2, 3, breathe out, 1, 2, 3, and you're going to focus on that part of the body. Now what you're doing is focusing your motor cortex, your frontal lobe, your executive center to go there, and you're actually going to decrease the tension. And you're going to do that throughout your body. You're going to find the different areas. What you do is you start at your feet, work your way up to your legs, then up to your midsection, then to your stomach. Most people, the tension they're going to find in their eyebrows, their shoulders, their jaw, their hands. A lot of people, and they're not even aware of that, the tension in their hands and their feet, sometimes calves. And wherever you feel that, you breathe in and out until that area relaxes and keep moving forward. So that's a nice, easy one. For kids, on the other hand, quiet time for coloring, or time they can listen to music. This is an easy way to get them out of that screen time and to get them nice and relaxed. This one I love. It is family connection. Understand that for your child, if you spend 10 minutes completely connected with them, that can literally hold them for a long period of time, and it can help them feel safe and connected to mom and dad. That connection with them, that special time of quietness, connecting, whatever you're doing, is literally going to fill their tank, and they're going to be able to deal with emotions a lot better. I also recommend guarded time where we don't have screen time. So this is going to be things like dinner or bedtime. And the key with these, though, is gratitude. What are we grateful for today? So it's looking at the things that we want to be grateful for. If you are a Christian like me, that's prayer. But doing that will ingrain a system of looking at what you have to be grateful for or happy about instead of what you're worried about. Because every adult can go to bed worrying, and then they wake up and then that worry comes right back into their brain. But if you can get that gratitude in, it will literally change your physiology. Now, the big takeaway from all of this is whatever our children see us do, they're going to mirror. It's not what we say, it's what they see us do. So they're going to mirror what mommy and daddy does. And that's why you can see that if mommy and daddy stress out and child watches that, child will learn how to do that. And that's where we can look at generational issues in families, generational dysfunction. The biggest takeaway and the biggest gift you could ever give a child or an adult is a calm, functioning nerve system. So the goal, and to understand this, is if your brain is stable, your body is stable. Your body is just a reflection of what's going on in your brain. If somebody is in a stuck position, that's because they have some mental stuff going on. If somebody's in a relaxed position, that's usually because they're in that relaxed brain state. So the takeaway I want you to have here is if you have a friend or family member and they feel tired, They feel stressed out. They have brain fog. They have low motivation. They're irritable. They emotionally fluctuate. The child has headaches or stomach aches. We have things we can do for them. Try the things I've told you about screen time management, breathing, body scans, management of gratitudes and different aspects like that. But if they need a little bit more, we're here to help them. We're here to help your friends and family members. If they say those words, well, my child is having tummy aches. Now you know, ding, 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 we know that child's stressed, or my child's having headaches. We were taught in school, if a child has a headache for more than one day, you got a big problem going on. So that tells me that child is stressed out. So if any of those things come to mind, let their friends and family members know we can do stress evaluations, we can help them, and they will be able to move forward once we figure out what's driving it. I want to thank you all for being here, and God bless them.